Chandelure is coming out already tomorrow, so it's always a quick guide about the Pokemon. It's a ranged special attacker, very squishy, but also deals a lot of damage. And just want to talk about all the moves very fast, maybe some recommendations, so in case you want to buy it, you know exactly what you're gonna supposed to do on this Pokemon. And also it's very important if you play against the Pokemon to understand what this Pokemon even does to you. For head items, Double Glass is gonna be probably standard, choice and wise, and then for the last one, we don't know yet exactly what it's going to be, maybe some current reduction, maybe energy amplifier, or Spoon. The thing is, this Pokemon has a way of ignoring special defense, so it's always a question with Spoon, how much special defense does it ignore? Is the Spoon still worth it? Because if it ignores too much special defense, the Spoon gets less and less value. We are a 3-stage evolution Pokemon, and we start the game off with Ember, and our boost auto attack is a charged up thing, just like this, similar to Mr. Mime or Espeon. And you can use it after a time and it burns our opponents. And you can see at the bottom, this is the special defense ignore. Every single time you do damage to an opponent, there we see Infiltrator effect, opposing Pokemon, there we go. Opposing Pokemon, special defense partially ignored. So whenever you burn or hit someone with one of your abilities that damage, you stack it up from 0 to 8, and the more stacks you have, the more special defense you ignore, right? Very straightforward. There's the passive, this is the boost auto attack, and the boost auto attack, you can see the burn. Since it burns, it builds it up very fast. Then we have Ember for the basic ability, we shoot it out once, we burn our opponents again, and we can reactivate it a second time, which will be our main last hitting tool in laning phase. So right, using this twice maybe can give us some last hits for early game and also help us clear white Pokemon fast in case you go for lane. And then our second move is going to be Nightshade. It's a skill shot like this, we summon it, it does a bit of damage, and if we hit our opponent at the same time again, they're gonna get stunned. So actually quite good early game stuns. Can also do with the basic attack. Just any damage against it from you will stun the opponent for a good amount. So very strong actually early game ability. Doesn't do a lot of damage, but the stun is still quite huge. On level 5 we have Fire Blast and Mystical Fire. I feel like Mystical Fire is for sure gonna be the better move, so I'm gonna talk about it first. Fire Blast is also quite decent though. Mystical Fire first, it's similar to Psyshock Gardevoir. You hold it down, but you have to hold it down. You have to hold it down and you can shoot the Mystical Fires into a lot of directions. And if you only tap it once, it only happens once. So you have to hold down the button to make sure that you get all those Mystical Fires out. Putting it down again, and you can see you can change it much faster than compared to Psyshock. You can change it around much faster. So like here, here, and here. We can move it around and hit multiple things at the same time. And it has a second effect as well. As you might see, you have like a stack counter under my boost auto attack bar. You can see it's 1, 2, 3 red bars. Now we can reactivate Mystical Fire as a point and click, and it's going to deal AoE damage around the Pokemon we target. And depending on how many Pokemon you hit, the stronger it is. So if you only hit a Pokemon once on Mystical Fire, then we only get a smaller version of it. So, you know, very straightforward. If you only hit it once, you get a smaller version. If you hit it multiple times, bam, 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 we get a much stronger version of it. So, very important to, of course, you know, hit as many opponents as possible. And, again, you have to be careful. If you only tap it once, it goes away, and then you can still reactivate it as well. And apparently, I don't know if it actually refunds cooldown. You can see at the bottom, it actually does refund some cooldown if you do it maybe this way as well. So it could be a way of getting some more damage in if you do it twice. There we go as well. Reduces some of the cooldown. And if you do it 3 times, I think it doesn't reduce cooldown at all. Also, after using this attack, this one right here, you can't auto attack for a while. You can see my auto attack button is locked out, and you cannot basic attack because it's kind of overheating, I guess, a tiny bit. On level 7, we have Poltergeist or Prison. I feel like both of these moves are amazing. Poltergeist is the first one. We create a zone with like obstacles or objectives in, and if opponents touch those things, they will be slowed. And also people that enter the area on the side will also be slowed. So if you get like in touch with the line right here, you get slowed. And you know, again, you can kind of like summon it with the edge. You can see these furniture things always on the edge of things. So if you cast it like this, you can always hit your opponents with one. So that's how you're probably going to aim it. Always at the edge of things, right? Never like this on someone, because then, you know, they can maybe walk around it or they don't get stunned instantly. Try to aim it like this and hit your opponents with it. For Mystical Fire Plus, we get less current reduction on it. I mean, I probably have to turn on current reduction to show it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Just lower cooldown. I think there's one less second cooldown on it. And that's pretty much it. Nothing too crazy. And then for Imprisoned, or Poltergeist Plus, I mean, Imprison's the other move. They're just slowed even further when they go into that edge of the Poltergeist. So if they're on this and they walk through it, they get slowed even further. For the second move, we have Fire Blast, which I feel like is similar to Future Sight Gardevoir as well. It's a straight up skill shot in a line that has an area at the end that explodes and does damage. And if you hit a Pokemon with the end of this, you get cooldown reduction. Also works on white Pokemon, so if you hit a white Pokemon with it, you also get cooldown reduction. And you cannot like change this. It always has the set distance, so you can't like, you know, reduce the distance of it, which makes it quite awkward sometimes, right? Like if you get dove by something, it's very difficult. So if you get like dove and you try to use it, your cooldown will always be at the max thing. You always make sure you keep your distance with this move and stay very far back. But if you play against like Zoroark, you just probably done for, right? Like it's very difficult to do something. It still burns at least, but it doesn't really do all too much as soon as this happens. On level 7, we get the other move as well, which is Imprison, which is a skill shot in a range, and it's gonna stun the first target it hits, and then it also silences every single Pokemon in this area, which is insane. Like, a silence is very crazy. The enemies can still auto-attack, as you can see, they can auto-attack, but they cannot use moves. So, yeah. Move lock, it says, and you can, it lasts quite a while. Again, only the first target gets stunned until later on, which I'm also gonna talk about in a second. But yeah, so right now he's starting the Spirit Shackle, I move lock him, and the Decidueye cannot use the Spirit Shackle until he either moves out of the zone, or this, you know, the move lock is going to end. On level 11 we get Fire Blast Plus, which when we hit an opponent, again with the end of the circle, we get increased damage for like 2 seconds, I think. It looks like 2 seconds right here down, effect damage increased on Flamethrower Plus, and again, it only works if we hit the end. If we don't hit the end, it doesn't work. If we hit a white Pokemon with it, it also works. So on white Pokemon it works. So when you fight someone, let's say this is an enemy Pokemon, always try to aim it like this, right? Try to always hit white Pokemon while you fight opponents. I think that's the best way of saying it as well. Like in case someone is close, just make sure you do something like this instead. You can still burn your opponents, and you can still get cooldown reduction. So look for white Pokemon in the area to make sure you can reset your Fire Blast. And now level 13 Imprison Plus is absolutely crazy. It now stuns every single person getting hit by Imprison. Also, this move doesn't deal any damage, which is fine, I think. It just sprayed out a CC. You can now stun every single target. It doesn't last all too long, but still a stun is a stun. And again, they still get silenced in this entire area for a while as well, so they're first to walk out. You can't use any dashes, right? If you're stuck in this, you can't dash out of it. You're stuck in it until you either walk out of it or, you know, the effect disappears. And now to the best part about this Pokemon, which I feel like is the Unite move. The Unite move is super fun and feels very powerful. So it has multiple activations. First we activate one thing at a time, and all opponents around us will lose vision. It's similar to like smoke screen of, you know, Greninja. So we press it, everyone loses vision around us, and then we can reactivate it a second time for a huge laser. So we press it, now we can activate it, we have to aim it somewhere, and then we can release it, and it's going to just shoot a laser into a direction. A lot of times with a final attack as well. You aim it with your left joystick, on mobile at least. I don't know, I think Switch probably can also aim with the right stick, but you can, yeah, make sure you aim with your left stick, because if you press it again, you can also cancel it. So in case something bad happens, you can always cancel it and then walk away, in case you get dove. But yeah, it's aim with your left stick, and you can move it around very fast. Like it's very fun of a move. Finally got a big laser in the game as well, which I think every game needs, is a huge laser. And yeah, I mean, it does a good amount of damage, right? It does for sure do a good amount of damage. It's gonna be very, very fun. I'm not sure what's gonna be the best split. I feel like Mystic Fire and Imprison is gonna be very strong as well. Like Imprison, I do like Poltergeist more visually, and Poltergeist is such a interesting move, but Imprison just feels very insane, right? Having a silence also allows you to maybe peel away from opponents, right? If you get jumped by a speedster, you put down Imprison under you, you can walk around it and maybe buy enough time for you to make sure that your team can help you out. But Poltergeist, I think, is also going to be great. I don't think, but Poltergeist, I feel like it's going to be better when you have Fire Blast, because it has more range, right? Because, like, I mean, this is also similar range. If you stun someone into a Fire Blast, I mean, I think Imprison and Poltergeist are quite similar. Just one stuns and silences, and the other slows and also does damage. So both have their, like, you know, good things and bad things. I do think Imprison Plus is going to be absolutely insane, though. And the Mystic Fire is just straight up, I feel like, much simpler and much straightforward. But I think like Fire Blast also has a chance for sure. It's just, I feel like, going to be a bit more difficult. And Mystic Fire is going to be very straightforward. Besides that, not much behind this Pokemon. You just use your Mystic Fire. Make sure you reactivate it for that Mystic Fire Plus, for the Mystic Fire second activation. Put in some boosted auto attacks. And make sure you stay away from your opponents, because this Pokemon is going to be very squishy. It doesn't have any mobility, right? You have no mobility on this Pokemon. Well, your mobility in team fights is going to be this. If in case you get engaged on, you press this, right? You press this button right here, they lose vision, and hopefully you can maybe run somewhere and escape and then shoot your laser and be fine. So it does have some, you know, defensive tools again in prison. We can put poltergeist under ourselves to slow our opponents. So it does have peeling, but still it doesn't have any sort of mobility. But yeah, it's gonna be very squishy, but also very fun to play. Hope you guys enjoyed this little video, and I hopefully it was helpful.